Alright, YouTube. This is going to be a kind of different video here today. Most of my videos are about scrap and scrap metal and things related to scrap. But as you can see here, I actually got some new steel here floating around. You're like, what? No way. Yeah, this is a trailer right here. That's a trailer too. But no, this is a trailer. It doesn't look like one yet, but it's gonna be. So I'm gonna show a video about you know, how I'm gonna build this thing. Alright, right now it don't look like much. It's just some steel and then some miscellaneous parts and stuff. But it's gonna be something similar to that. That one there is kind of old. It's a little bit rusty. And when I built this, I didn't really think I'd be having this gigantic welder up there. But yeah, so I gotta remake the trailer. It's gonna be similar to that, not exactly it. If you see the phone number up there, that's not mine anymore, so don't bother calling that. It's just gonna be some college. But yeah, so I got some 3/16 angle iron, 2x2, and I got some 3-inch channel there. I got everything I got here came from the Tractor Supply. It's probably not the cheapest way of doing it, but it was there, it was convenient. And I can, like, the point of building your own trailer is not to build one, like, you don't want to build it is, you're not gonna be able to build a trailer cheaper than the manufacturers selling them. But the whole point of building a trailer, I'll get into this later, is you can do what you want with it. So it's gonna come out pretty good, I think. I got, yeah, like I said, I got some angle there, some channel there, miscellaneous parts and crap there, and then over here I got some 1/8-inch plate, and I got some more 1/8-inch plate in the garage, and we're gonna be making a trailer that's gonna hold this welder right here. Alright, so the very first thing you want to do before you start anything really is you want to get your axle. It's more important that you build your trailer to your axle, but at least in this case, if you're buying an axle, you want to try to buy the axle first and then build your trailer to the axle instead of trying to build the axle to the trailer. Unless you have a different type of axle, it's just easier that way. Because if you build your trailer a different size than what this will take, now you got to custom build an axle, and that can get expensive. But I mean, you know, that's like, if you really need a custom axle, then I guess go for it that way. Doesn't matter what you do then. I mean, there are different types of axles that you could do it that way. But for this, we're going to measure from the center of this hole to the center of this hole. And I'm going to write that number down on this axle so I don't forget it. It says it on the sticker, but I don't really trust the sticker all the time. Because if some guy has this off a little bit in his jig, you know, it could throw off the measurements. So we're going to run this tape over from end to end. That looks like about 60 inches. then we're at 59 1/8 is the center of this hole. And we're gonna close this up. That should be around, yep. So it is 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 sixteenths is about the center of this. So 13, 16. So what I'm trying to do now is you got 59 1/8 minus 13 16. And you do some math, and that should give us the center, or the distance between the centers of those holes. All right, so the next thing you're gonna do is after you've done your math, you're gonna want to start cutting your some of your stuff. This piece here, I'm gonna cut it, and then this piece over here is gonna be the very front part of the trailer. I've determined that this is going to be 60 5/16 minus 3/8. Whatever that comes out to, it's like 59 15 16 or something like that. So you want to make sure you're pretty accurate with your cuts, and you go along, cut up all your cross members and stuff, which I'm not going to show you everything being cut, but this one's going to be at a 45 on the bottom. Then I'm going to make my two, I call them runners. They're going to be at a 45, and the front corner is going to be a 45-degree angle. Everything else is going to be pretty much flat as far as that goes. So I'm going to cut this straight, cut it to length, and then I'm probably going to get the grinder and do the 45s, since this saw is not the best at cutting 45s accurately. They don't need to be like perfect, but you want them close. So yeah, when I get to it. So that is it's that one good to go. I just got to cut these 45s. I'm going to do that with the grinder or the plasma, so it'll come out a lot better than this. I'll give you some hints and pointers on how I make straighter cuts with this, or how to use it better, I should say. I don't know if you guys can see, I'm only cutting this angle, but I have a piece of square tubing. I think it's like 3-inch square tubing that I had cut off from another project, but I've been using that there right up against the back guard of the machine, and I clamp everything to there, and then that way when you go to cut, you're cutting pretty much in the center of the blade, and that way when the blade gets worn, you're always in the center. If the blade gets worn and your piece is all the way back here, when that comes down, it may not totally reach the piece you're trying to cut. I also got that thing there. It just so happens that that's the same height as the saw. So that way when the pieces drop, they can't, like, it's not messing anything up. It's not complicated, but maybe those are some pointers some of y'all can take away from that. So I'm gonna start cutting everything with this, and then I'll get back to you when I'm about ready to do something else. Alright, I don't know if y'all can hear me, but now we're pretty much ready to start tack welding everything in place. This is where it really benefits you to have like a table or like a set of I-beams that are level and spaced out where you want them. But we're working with this lumpy driveway, so it is what it is. So if you're working with something like this, you want to get it up, your stuff up on blocks, as you can see there, and you just want to go like one corner at a time. Make sure this is square. It is, because I got the little square there. And then I'm going to use 60-11 rods to tack this into place. Again, we're running it off of the Sa200 over there. So I'm gonna go get the stuff here, and we're gonna tack up this corner here, and then once that's tacked up, I'm gonna work on this corner over here. I got the back of it ready too, but when you're doing it on these blocks, you just got to do it one corner at a time. It really sucks, but that's what you got to work with. that we got the front all tacked up, now we can go ahead and work on the back. And then, as I said, you know, we're gonna try and keep it all square. This the back piece here, I cut it a little bit short for a reason, so you can get better welds on your stuff. All right, so now I got all these cross members all cut up and cleaned up. I'm gonna take a wire wheel and just clean up. Well, no, I'm gonna clamp them into place and then I'll take the wire wheel and clean them up a little bit on the main frame. And then I'm going to tack them in with some 3/32 inch 6011. They're just going to be all tacked, except for the two by the axle. I'm going to leave them alone until I get the axle in place, and then we're going to weld them in after the axle's in, or at least where I know where the axle is going. That way it doesn't interfere with anything as far as that goes. Yeah, so if these ones, like these ones here, are a little bit out of line, that's okay. The main one you want to worry about is this one right here. Make sure it's square to whatever you're squaring your stuff up to. So you want to make sure that it's square to your front, like those are square, and then your axle is square to this one, and then that'll make it a lot easier when you go to throw your tongue on. So I'm gonna get going at this. All right, YouTube. All right, I'll be honest. I didn't get the right amount of U-bolts. I came up too short. I got the package and it had 2 in there, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. No, you need 4. It's my bad. I completely forgot. I saw 2. I'm like, 1 for each side. You're good. You know, you're good. But no. Yeah, you need 4 U-bolts to make a complete axle assembly. So I got to go back to the store and get some. But I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to keep moving on with this trailer. Look, if you forget your U-bolts, it's not a huge deal. There's holes in your axle mounting things that line up pretty much dead on with the pin on the, like, it's the same thing. You just flip your axle over. It's not a big deal. You know, right now this is not how the axle is going to ride. It's going to be upside down, and there's going to be U-bolts attached to that. But you gotta take this whole thing over, flip it over, and so this axle is going to be coming off and on anyway. So right now all I'm worried about is getting these things right there and there tacked down, so that I can keep moving on with this project here. So you get your axle is the spacer here, and that's how you know these things are in line and that everything's good. And if you've never built a utility trailer or anything, you want your axle to be 60% of the way back. So what that means is this is the front of the trailer, this is the back. Like somewhere in here is the halfway point, and then, you know, if that's your 50% marker, you want this 10% of the way behind your halfway marker. So it's not like rocket science. If it's off a centimeter or 2, like, you'll probably never even know. As long as you get this squared up with your tongue, you'll be good. Yeah, so then for the back, I'll show you what I got going on here. When you put these things on, you want, instead of having these dead in a line, you want this bolt slightly forward of this bolt. That way, when your spring compresses, it pushes this back and you're good to go. So yeah, now that's all where I want it. I got the front clamped in place. I took the square and I made sure these are actually square. Everything's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tack down these little mounts. Once I get them tacked into place, I'm gonna make up the tongue and we're gonna get the tongue rolling. So I'll come back once I'm ready for the tongue. Alright, YouTube, so we're back. I got the tongue made up. I'll show you guys how it's made up better, like later on here in a second. But I wanted to show y'all how you square up your axle if, you know, your trailer's not perfectly square. So you want to pick a point somewhere on your axle that's the same on both sides. If you're trying to do it like off of the axle itself, you want to throw like a piece of angle iron that's straight, mark like, and just draw a line down it, and then draw crosshairs if you're doing it that way, if you got a helper. But I don't really have a helper, so what I did is I put this on the back of my leaf spring mounts, and then I put it to the center of this thing here, where that comes together. That should be close enough. And we got 110.5 on this side. Then we're gonna go throw this over here. And then we got the same measurement over here. You wanna make sure your tape measure hooks the same way on both sides. If you're catching the piece of metal with the middle part, you want to make sure you catch the other piece of metal with the middle part. You don't want to be on an end and then in the middle, so that'll mess it up. Alright, so now we're all tacked together, and we can start welding this thing out. When we do that, I'm going to throw a piece of aluminum kind of thick under everything that I'm welding. So this isn't aluminum right here, but it's an example. Like when I'm welding this, I'm going to throw it under here, and then I'm going to clamp it fast. And that should hopefully help control the heat so it doesn't warp as much. It's probably already not like completely straight because I'm just doing this on blocks. You want to be doing this on I-beams that are level to each other. They're level to each other. And then you clamp everything to the I-beams. You know, you want your I-beams set up, you know, wherever, however wide your trailer is, and you know everything's going to be pretty much perfect every time. This is good enough for me, and this will get you by, so you can get your setup like that. But here, I'll show you how I got this tongue on if my battery doesn't die here. It was a pain in the dick. I got clamped. It's clamped there. I got a piece of wood clamped to this, so that way this is flat. I would have clamped this to the wood also, but I didn't have enough clamps. Same thing over here. These are cut at, I don't even know the angle, but whatever this is set at, I didn't turn it on, and I just set it like that, and yeah. This is a Bulldog 7,000 pound hitch. These don't have to be perfect, just get them close to each other. I got it tacked up right now, and then we're about to start welding here. Hopefully I'll have enough light to get this done tonight. If not, it'll be done in the morning. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of welding. Then we're gonna flip it over and weld some more.